Today we're gonna convert 556 1/5 military brass or 223 into 300 AAC Blackout brass. It's actually very cheap to purchase 1/5 military brass. You could buy cheaper like a range or um, mixed military brass, but I find it much better or easier, more consistently, more consistent to convert the 1/5 military because you pretty much get the same type. It might be from different companies, but they're very similar. If you go with their 1/5 range brass, you could get a whole bunch of different types and kind of throws off your consistency. So this is 1/5 military brass, and like all my videos, it's pretty much the first time I do things. I don't really make videos after I perfected everything, but this is pretty much the first time I'm using all these processes. But that right there is just a board that I drilled out like every inch, um, just to fit the 556. And I made it out of scrap cherry wood because I had a whole bunch of that lying around. But after doing this the first time, I think the next time if I ever build another one, it's going to be out of something like pine or something a little softer. The brass fits really good. I mean, it fits so good that you gotta kind of pound them in and pound them out, which is very good. It doesn't move. It cuts very accurately, but the wood just doesn't give. It doesn't stretch. So maybe I will try some pine the next time, but for now, I, I'll just use the cherry wood. Good thing is it's very accurate though. It just doesn't move. Bad thing is takes a little more time to put them all in and punch them all out. So normally I do about maybe 2 to 500 at one time, but just for this quick demonstration, I'm doing 100 to see how long it takes. It takes just about 2 hours to complete everything. Um, about 1 hour to cut and size and reform and trim and all that stuff. About an hour to chuck it in the tumbler to get nice and shiny. But it doesn't make sense to do like only 50 or 100 at a time. So usually I cut maybe 200 or 500 or a good amount. I don't do it all in one sitting or one day, but maybe one day I'll cut about 500 and then another time or maybe another weekend or something. I'll go and trim and prep them all, and then the following week we'll go and finish it up and throw it in a tumbler. But this can be done in any number of fashions. So that board cuts about 50 at one time, so if I did it twice, we get 100. Next, we're going to sit here and we're going to form and resize. Now, this is the first few times I did, so I was using this Castile soap. Um, I've since changed. I mean, the lubrication is very, very important. And the soap seems to work really good. I've been using that for many years. But I since bought one of those Dylan spray-on, and since then I just went on Amazon and I bought a couple gallons of what's that isopropyl alcohol and some lanolin, and you just mix your own, and it works really good. Just much easier to spray it all on, put this, then dunk it in some soap. Either way, you can lubricate it with anything you want. The most important part comes up a little later, and I'll wait till that comes up before I mention that. But I usually just dip it in the soap maybe once every fourth or fifth one, and then keep some soap on my fingers, keep it all lubricated. Just speed up the process, and I don't think you want to sit there and watch me size and form 100 pieces. But change the sequence that I do things. This is, again, the first, or at least the first, second time I've done it this way. But this is the most important part. You gotta wash off the lubricant. If you don't wash off the lubricant, then when you tumble it, everything turns gray and hazy. So the Castile soap is actually one of the reasons I used it, because it washes off very easy. The good part is all the soapy stuff washes off really nice, but a lot of the fatty deposits stay on there. You can't really see it or feel it, but when you go to tumble wash and polish and everything, that's where everything just turns gray and sticks to all the brass, sticks to your tumbler and gets everywhere. So yeah, that little bottle there, it's very important. After you wash off all the soap or whatever lubricant you can with water, use a degreaser. If you leave the degreaser on too long, though, the brass kind of turns a little dark. So just put it on there, and usually I do 2 cycles of degreaser. I think on this one I only did 1 because I was just trying it out to see if it made a difference. But it's good to wash it, quickly twice with degreaser twice. Make sure you wash off all the degreaser or neutralize the degreaser with water. Again, I since changed the way I do this. Now after I size and form with the lubricant, I go straight to the trimming process. And that helps the trimming process, helps lubricate it and keeps the blade sharper longer, and the cuts are much cleaner. But the only reason I did this before, the process this way before, is because I was using the soap, and it made it more difficult to hold on to the brass and move everything around with it being slippery. But now, since I've switched to the lanolin and alcohol, it's very easy to go from the size reform to the trimmer, not this step here, to the trimmer, and then come back to here, and then we'll take care of the primer pockets and chamfer and deburr all after that. And it's better to actually leave the lubricant on until after you finish chamfer, deburr, and trimming the primer pockets, because it just helps. The lubricant helps pretty much all the cutting process. But again, this is the first times I've done it, so this is the way I did it. I didn't like the soapy feeling on the brass, so I washed it off first. Anyway, right now we're taking the crimp off the primer pocket. Let's look at that RCBS. Seems to work really good. You can set the depth so everything's perfect. Just punch it on there until nothing comes off, and it's really fast. Just speed through this process pretty well here. Get through the 100. Okay. Okay, now where are we at? We're in a 100 brass cut, sized, formed, and primer pockets reshaped. Now we're going to go over to trim. Again, I've changed the process. The trimming now comes right after the sizing and reforming. This is just one of those Lyman, trimmers. All we did was, I think we punched off the handle and then tapped it and chucked it in one of my extra drill presses. So I don't really think you want to watch me do 100 of these, so we'll speed through it. What I did find, though, is that that Lyman trimmer, it wasn't made for this kind of pressure that the drill press puts on it. So a few things you have to modify. The part that clamps down, it has three bolts in there, but it's just really small screws. Eventually, you're gonna have to drill that out and tap it out and put actual 3 bolts in there. That way, otherwise it'll eventually strip out. The other important thing is on the collar right there. It's usually a set screw in that locking collar. It's just not strong enough, so it'll strip out. So I put this bolt in there initially. This is in the beginning. I put the bolt in there, and it seems to hold well. After that, I changed to I drilled a dimple. I marked where that bolt makes contact on the rod, and I drilled a little dimple and put the bolt in there. But I found that you can see it right there. It wobbles a little bit because the bolt changes the weight. So with the dimple back in there, I was able to throw a set screw in there. So now the set screw exists in there. I mean, the wobble isn't that bad, but I noticed it was wearing on the shaft. So I'm pretty sure you can leave that little tiny bolt in there, but it's better you put a dimple in the rod and put a set screw in. Now we're going over to chamfer and deburr. It's only 100, so it shouldn't take too long, but I'm still going to speed it up and delete some of it. Again, you probably don't need to see me chamfer and deburr 100 pieces. And again, it's better to do this in sequence after the sides reform, and trimming, do this right after, so that there still be some lubricant on there. Makes the cutting process faster and easier. Now, the chamfer and deburr is just 2 really old drills that I lying around. I just move the body and then bolted it to this plate. So those are just quick release chucks. Next, all we gotta do is stick it in the tumbler. I think I've changed the process too. I mean, this is a long time ago when I made the video. I just didn't get around to putting it together and sticking it on YouTube until now. But I think what I've changed since then was I don't tumble it for as long. I used to put it in there for about an hour and a half. Now I put it in there for like 15 minutes and then change the water out and then put it back in for another 30 minutes or so. Seems to come out much shinier and takes less time. I think in this video I set it for an hour and a half. This is a while back when I first started. But it's always good to change the water once, because that first wash is just pretty much black. It's good to get that all out of there. This tumbler is just a bucket attached to an old ice cream maker machine. It had a lot of torque and it rotated at the right speed. Oh, and some dolly wheels. I think I had 1 pound of steel pins I bought on eBay, or was it Amazon? I'm not sure. I've since changed to, I think I put another bag in there. Also, the after process I've changed to. I guess we'll get that when we get there. But it usually sits now for about 15 minutes doing this. And I take it out, rinse it out real quickly, put a little more soap back in there, and tiny bit of lemon shine, and stick it back in for like 30 minutes. About 30 minutes, yeah. And then after that, yeah, here we go, we wash it out. What I've changed since then was I've taken two buckets like that, identical, and drilled out the bottom, holes in the bottom, one in the bucket. Just put it in the other, and I'll just dump it in there and shake it for a little bit and pull it out. And otherwise, it'll take too long, shaking out 500 pieces of brass. And it'll take away this process too, because now there's still some pins stuck in here. I used to shake them out one by one, but better just to use the two buckets, give it a couple of shakes, or maybe buy one of those commercial separators. But you don't want to go and buy a commercial separator. So two buckets, one of them bottom, just drill some holes out. It works really good. This is only 100 pieces. It's not that bad though. If you do them individually, just take some time. The one thing I kept from this old process still is this magnet. The magnet helps you pick up these pins. The pins, they seem to show up every now and then everywhere. So I mean, a good strong magnet helps a lot. Yeah, I got this on eBay too. Oh, yeah, I got this on eBay too. It's only like $5 or something like that. From here, the process changed. You can, if you're good with this, I usually just throw them in a pan, stick them in the oven at about 120 or 150, whatever the lowest you can go. In about 5 minutes, and I just turn off the oven and let it sit in there for another 20 minutes or so, and it comes out really dry. What I did change though is from here now I turned into one of those vibration tumblers. It's a really cheap one you can buy on Amazon for like 20 or 30 bucks or whatever it is. I got that filled with airsoft BBs. Just the solid plastic ones, not the coated ones. And I throw in some car polish. That's where the process takes a long time though, but it makes it really shiny. If you throw it in one of those tumblers with those plastic BBs, and then throw in some car polish, just let it go. That's why I don't really take off the water. It helps, I guess, move the polish, spread the polish evenly if it's a little damp when you throw it in that tumbler. The only problem is you gotta let it run for like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, because the polish has to, I guess, saturate everywhere, then dry off and haze, and then I guess the tumbling process takes off all that haze and turns it into dust. So you don't have to do anything; just stick it in there for until it comes shiny. You can tell because when you stick it in there, it's wet. Then it comes dull, and you keep checking on it, and then after that, you see the cover start picking up a lot of moisture. And you just take off the cover, let it run for another 20, 30 minutes, and boom, it's all shiny. It doesn't last quite long that way, but if you guys enjoyed the video, this is how I first started, and since changed, but this is my first process.